years ago, and then both of my kids have done horse and dog and shooting sports for, I think, from 8 to 18. So yes, I'm a big believer in the attributes that 4-H can bring. And my oldest daughter is in college now, and a lot of the stuff that she does for her extracurricular school stuff and activities is she learned in 4-H. She got it there first about how to raise funds for people, how to account for the costs of things, and speak. Public speaking was a big one.
This is great. Well, it's 8:30, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. We are recording, and thank you, Courtney, for getting that started. Hello, everyone. I'm Larimer County Commissioner Jody Shabig-Nally, Chair of the Legislative Committee for the Colorado Forest Health Council. I apologize that I am kind of two screens, and Courtney's just here to help with running the technical stuff. She's not going to take roll call and stuff. I'm going to do that. I'm just running to my schedule got moved without me really paying attention to they got moved. So we'll be having a short meeting today, but I wanted to have Carrie come and do this update and for us to have this discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. I'm not sure if we're going to have quorum, but we're going to give this a try. So if not, we'll have the information. So I'm going to start with roll call. And so to see if we have quorum. So first we have, and I see her, but I'm going to say it anyway, Samantha Albert.
Yeah. Hi, all. Good to see you.
Christy Belton is excused. She has, we wish her well. She's having some procedures done today. Pat Dorsey.
Good morning.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Morgan.
Good morning.
And we have myself, Larimer County Commissioner Jody Shabig-Nally, present. We have Director Matt McCombs.
Present.
Or designee, but he's present today. This is great. Council, Vice Council or Vice Chairman of the Council, Sullivan Whiteskunk. We have Commissioner Veronica Medina. Julie Stencil. Present. Do we have Katie Novak McGrath? Okay, so I think that's our list. If I've forgotten anybody, or do we? And we have Courtney's available, and then we also Allison Lurch, designee for Director Gibbs, is excused. She has another meeting right now, so I do think we have quorum, and we will go ahead we're going to have a short meeting today, but we're going to go ahead and share. So we have quorum. Minutes. Anybody have any, review the minutes? Does anyone have any concerns, changes, or additions to the minutes? If not, I would welcome a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented with your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, minutes are passed. Let's move on to our presentation from Carrie Rollins. And thank you, Carrie. You've been here. This is your second time, and thank you for sending over the materials for kind of, I believe you took a lot of our feedback and incorporated it into the new presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and let you start presenting. And just a heads up for everybody, this will probably be a shorter meeting today, unless we have Courtney able to take over, but we're going to probably try to keep these questions, hopefully we don't have too many questions, but I welcome the discussion. But we would hope to have maybe a discussion or action at the end, whether we want to add these as details to our legislative priorities, the one that is, I believe, number 2 or 3. So Carrie, I'll let you go ahead. I don't know if you can share your screen or not.
Yep.
Great, let's do it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you. Great to see everybody again this morning. And I just had an epiphany. Pat, I think our paths have crossed many years ago. I don't know why I didn't recognize that before, but great to see you again and great to see everybody. So thank you, Commissioner Shattuck McNally, for sending the proposal I forwarded out. Hopefully everybody received that, and it's not terribly long. I hope you could give it a quick perusal that we're going to cover briefly today. So I will go ahead and share my screen. I just did kind of a quick PowerPoint just to catch some of the highlights, and we
Hey,
all
Karen,
know by now. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a real quick session. I just want to recognize that Commissioner Medina has joined us. So we definitely have quorum and welcome Commissioner Medina. And I apologize for the interruption.
Great. Okay. So let me get to this one. Okay, can you guys see that? I can't see you anymore,
Yes,
so.
we can see
Yes,
it. Great.
yes, we
Okay.
can see it.
Great. So the first thing I wanted to do is just, again, just make sure we're in alignment. I think this might be the third time I've been here, but every time it's been really good to get iterations of getting this right and understanding what you all are looking for and making sure that CSU Extension is in alignment with your goals and what you want to see happen in the field and on the ground. So just restating some of what I think is our understanding together. So our overarching goal, which we talked about the last couple of times, catalyze and grow youth engagement and career opportunities in the areas of forestry, wildland, fire, and natural resources in the select counties within the two Colorado Extension regions, which are the Front Range and the Mountain. And then, as my understanding is, the scope is, as we proposed, 3 years. I think that would be July 25 to June of 28. And in the proposal, you'll see within the two regions, the Front Range and the Mountain, we're talking about 5 counties in each region. And in the Front Range, of course, that would be the Front Range Mountain Backdrop, which is from Larimer County down to El Paso County. So and then in talking to my colleague over at the Mountain region, we were thinking the counties that abut these 5 counties here in the Front Range region, but I am open to feedback as well on that. And maybe it's a wait and see. There's a lot going on in Chaffee County here and Summit County there as well that we could build on, but that hasn't been precisely decided yet. And so I just wanted to go over again that Extension is in a really good place and building momentum, I think, towards the goals that you all have. And so as we've talked about previously, the Extension internship program, I did do a little digging and got a little more information to share with you about that, just to show you the demand for the workforce and career-oriented field opportunities that students are looking for. So the Extension internship is a 10-week program. They average about 30 hours a week, May through August. We work with all 8 colleges at the university, as well as several centers and different schools like the School of Public Health. We work with them on producing internships and filling them with students. And then each internship includes a mentor from campus and a mentor from Extension, and sometimes a mentor from private industry. And so I think that's really important in the scope of what we're talking about, to show how these students are supported, and it's a learning experience as much of it as it is a career experience. There is a high demand. So the internship program overall started about 5 years ago. In 2024, we had our most ever. And our campus colleagues partnering with our Extension colleagues submitted over 130 internship project ideas. And of those, only 71 we're funding. And funding comes from the colleges, it comes from extension, it sometimes comes from the president's office, but this year only 71 were funded. 15 of those were in the Warner College of Natural Resources. And overall, there were 600, almost 600, 595 applications for those 71 internships. And then of the applications, 21% of those were from Warner College of Natural Resource students. So they seem to, and that was the highest across all colleges. So those students really seem to be seeking opportunities in the field. And I think we all agree that we would like to give it to them. This year, the budget was also more limited than in past years. So each student on average received $450 for the entire summer for housing and travel stipends. So I think we're looking to do better than that. So I wanted to share that with you. And then just a couple of other things. We've talked fairly extensively about the extension network and within 4-H, and that Colorado counties almost all have some form of 4-H capacity. A lot of them will do the club-based programming, as we've been talking about this morning. My kids were both in that, but doing some of the science out of school and the STEM programming does happen in most counties, but the capacity, it's really limited by the capacity of staff to reach numbers of schools. Oftentimes they might work with 1 or 2 schools in their district. So I think we're looking to expand those partnerships as well. And then based on demand, I think in part because of where we live in the state of Colorado, there's been a increased demand that was really recognized during the COVID pandemic for natural resource certificate programs and people getting outside. And so we are in the process of a partnership with Colorado Parks and Wildlife right now in creating the Rocky Mountain Naturalist Certificate Program. We also ran our first partnership with the Conservation District to have the Envirothon Scholastic Competition. It's a high school competition. It did just win an award at the Colorado Alliance for Environmental Education. But with all of that said, it was recognized that it was time that Extension added a position, and at the top of the list was a state specialist for natural resources. So you'll see bits of that person's position highlighted in this project, because I think they will be a real asset to have in the project. So without further ado, I kind of took our green and gold document that we had been looking at, and with the feedback from last time, incorporated it into kind of re-highlighting or rewording some of the metrics and even some of the project goals. And I think the biggest one is goal 1, the accessible education and workforce readiness. And as I warned you at the very beginning, labor is expensive. And when you're in the field of education, it takes people out in the field, standing up in front of groups and providing that education and those partners. I'm sorry, is somebody saying something? Oh, okay. I thought I heard something.
Yeah, I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay. So labor is the bulk of the cost. We knew that coming into this. But based on the feedback and making sure we're focusing those positions correctly, I did change the metric a little bit. And the one I want to highlight here is the second bullet. And so we had one in the last rendition of this about graduation rates and things like that. And we decided that that wasn't as applicable. And when I really thought about what we're trying to achieve, I think what we're shooting for is a spectrum of opportunity for youth from 3rd grade on up to high school, and then beyond, maybe those first couple of years of college, so that they all can see themselves and have a clear path to a workforce in natural resources and forestry and specifically. So as I thought about the proposal and I fleshed it out from our original table format, I really tried to hone in on what that spectrum of opportunity looked like. Again, with career awareness and it getting an interest in natural resources and forestry, all the way to maybe community college and a 4-year degree, with things in between like work experience in the internships, with an opportunity to gain college credit for 4-H youth who have been in natural resource projects just to dip their toe into the field of higher education. And then, of course, those really important workforce skills that if you want to go straight from high school into the field, we want to help you with some of those workforce skills development and help you get there. And a lot of times that also looks like partnerships with community college, and maybe that feeds into a 2+2 scenario. So that was the bulk of the editing that I did this time around, was here on this Project One goal. So, and then just because the labor is a big part of the proposal, I wanted to provide this slide for you to really just spell out what that looks like. And so the bolded positions are the existing positions. And that's where I have the most flexibility, where I can say, hey, we're not going to fund the whole position with the project. We have an opportunity to just fund part of it, and everybody wins and get what we need without funding the whole position. I've done that wherever I can to make things more affordable. But when you hire a new position, and I'm guessing many of you have been in this boat as well, we find it really hard to hire a half-time position or less, or a quarter-time position. A lot of times it's the full-time position, and what we've experienced here in Extension is there's always need for more capacity. And so there's a lot of work to do and a lot of connections to be made, I think. So at the statewide level, we're using existing positions. At the regional level, we have a couple of existing positions there. So we have one existing accessible ed position, and we're not going to charge any of that to the position, but we need to hire another one for the Front Range, and then that one is part of the project. Getting 2 4-H STEM regional specialists, one in each region, is going to be really critically important to expanding the reach within the school districts for the 4-H programming. And then having a program coordinator, one helping with curricula and developing that curricula and training staff, and then the others just helping support the specialists, making appointments, coordinating interns, and maybe helping give programming themselves. I hope that's the need. And then at the county level, we're going to have all of our 4-H specialists in the schools helping out. That's not going to be a part of the project, although it will meet the metrics. And then, of course, county directors, especially in the mountain region, that aren't as well staffed as some of the Front Range offices, it can be a county director. We call it a single agent county, where there might be a county director, but they have a specialty in 4-H, and so they choose to spend half of their time doing some of that kind of programming as well. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit more to make sure that you have an understanding, since that's a bulk of the cost. And then Project Goal 2, which was career development and workforce skills. This is detailed in the documents I sent, but again, really going after some of those internships. This provides for things like gloves and safety goggles and other items they might need in an internship in the field as well. It includes things like the summer college credit if we have students that want to pursue that opportunity, as well as some paying for some of those workforce development skills and partnerships, such as Red Card, chainsaw certification, things like that, to get them out in the field and working in a pathway to career. And then lastly, the initiative infrastructure. I think Mr. Morgan said this is the glue, or was it the oil between the cogs of the machine? I don't remember last time, but that's exactly what it is. So that's part of my time and part of an evaluation specialist, so that we can provide reports on metrics, impacts, and some of the stories that we learn as we start to deal with young people and getting them out into the field of forestry and natural resources. And then this is just a budget summary. So there's the 3 goal areas itemized out. So as I had originally penned out, the total direct costs of the project are just nearly 2.172. So I was glad that my pencil out came out similar to what we need once I fleshed out the entire proposal. And then something that hadn't crossed my mind before, but I was certainly made aware that even though this isn't an RFP kind of proposal, CSU Office of Sponsored Programs does require a percentage when we do these kinds of things. I think this is something we can certainly talk about at the staff level, but I'm obligated to share that at the worst case scenario, this is an off-campus rate project, which would be a 24% overhead. I have already submitted for a waiver to reduce that down to 12% to make the project more cost effective, in my opinion. So I wanted to be upfront and share that with you as well. And I'm sorry that I didn't share that before. I just didn't realize that since this wasn't a direct RFP or a grant proposal, that they still required us to run it through them. So I'm going to stop with that and see what questions or comments you have for me.
Thank you so much, Carrie, and I appreciate you sharing those other details, because that's sometimes we don't think about all those things until we get ready for implementation. So I really appreciate that. Anybody, well, first off, my first question for everybody, does this sound like what we wanted to have addressed? Any comments, questions? Director McCombs, do you have anything you'd like to ask or add, or putting you on the spot?
I'll always say something, Commissioner. What I really love about well, first of all, I really want to thank Carrie. She's put an enormous amount of due diligence into something that doesn't have a lot of certainty, right? And that takes a lot of time and effort, and she's done a great job of formulating and framing up the opportunity that exists. But the things that really strike me about this is, and we've had some offline conversations, not just between Carrie and I, but between the Warner College folks and Extension in different settings, about this is an opportunity, as framed as a way to really leverage some legacy programming that's been really successful in giving many people in the business that I'm in and work that we do together entree into this world in an early stage in life and with great success. So I'm just really enthusiastic about leveraging the existing infrastructure we have to reach young people around the opportunities that exist in the land management sector. So I just want to say that I'm very thankful for Carrie for doing all the hard work of getting this framed out. It's everything is expensive, and we're in competition with lots of other challenging needs that the state has, and the budget is not going the right direction at the state level as it relates to expanding programming robustly across. So, let's be just really transparent with each other about some of those challenges. But at the same time, if you're not paying attention to what's going on in New Mexico, as it relates to the wildfire season that they're experiencing, New Mexico is also often a bellwether for Colorado. They burn in June and July, and we burn in August and September. So I think we're going to have potential for really exacting interested parties looking hard at what have we done since 2020, really to sort of ramp up and respond to the unique environment in which Colorado's going to live and have to be cognizant of as it relates to our resiliency, our capacity to respond, and then and more importantly, frankly, from my perspective, is our capacity to mitigate and prepare and to reduce the burden of climate change's ravages as they come forward. So that all starts with getting human beings excited and interested to participate in the activity of stewarding the landscapes for which we all depend. So there is probably less of I can't think of a more precious investment we can make than in the future land managers and conservationists that will activate as people like me check out in about 10 years. So I just get excited when we talk about reaching young people with the opportunities that exist and growing their perspective on the ways that we can respond to the challenges that are in front of us. So that I don't know if that's that was a mealy mouth endorsement, but at the same time, I do put because there's just a lot of other competing needs out there, so I want to be transparent.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You were more eloquent and articulate about that, but I want to thank Carrie and spot on. That's exactly what I was thinking. But I do think this has got a potential for a huge return on investment. So we'll go. I'm not sure it was Mr. Morgan first or Pat. I apologize.
Go ahead, Pat.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Thanks, Mr. Morgan. I was going to say beauty before age, and that would put you ahead of me. But anyway, so Carrie, I building on what Matt said, I agree. I think, the community college program, we've done a lot to solidify that. This sort of provides that entry right to those community colleges and to four-year universities like Colorado State as well, into formal forestry programs. And if you look at the price, like that's spread over 3 years, that's not a 1 year cost, right? So it's less than $700,000 a year. That said, we've all sort of been informed about the challenges the state is facing budget-wise. Are there grant opportunities from National 4-H or something like that that we as a committee or a state, group of organizations can help put together some type of grant funding for this program to at least put some resources on the table to maybe make it less of a budget challenge if we decide to go that way?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can't say I for sure know the answer to that from National 4-H. I do know that there is a state 4-H foundation that grants opportunities. Often they'll fund trips for youth to like Citizen Washington Focus or things like that. So that could be an opportunity to explore. One of my thoughts was to increase, well, and as you saw in the proposal, I'm also proposing we do a high school internship program mimicked after the extension one. But my thought was to also reach out to industry partners to ask them to fund some of the internships. And I have had some initial conversations with some interest. Can't speak for all of them, but from the Colorado open space communities to especially they're interested in bringing people of diverse ethnic backgrounds into the field of natural resources. So if we can pair our goals together and hit some marks and bring in some additional funds to supplement this, I am all for it. And if you know of an opportunity, I will pursue it. And I'm happy to look into more as well.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm looking at Samantha and Matt McCombs, who are also part of RMRI, is there an opportunity to engage RMRI partners? Sometimes nobody's got a lot of money, but if everybody contribute a little bit, it would be helpful. So at least to show, right, like that we've done our part,
right,
to stand up the program.
That's an interesting concept. It's funny because I was just like in a meeting with the national program manager for urban and community forestry, right, at the U.S. Forest Service, and we were sort of talking about the pipeline for workforce because, if you guys know, like all this dough flowed into the state for urban and community forestry, and so all these municipalities are like, woo, and then they're like, nobody knows how to do this, and nobody's applied for our job. So, and I sort of asked, her name was Nasheen, like, do you guys have money for workforce? And they were like, so, we're starting conversations. So I think that's an indicator of that, like even our federal partners are open to these conversations. But then, I love what Pat just said, that our NGO partners all have sizable Keystone agreements and investments and others that is there some flexibility? Because I'm telling you, we are all struggling to get this work to ground because there just are not enough humans. And that's an interesting point. I think that we get together on the planning implementation, but we really don't get together on the sourcing of the capacity to do the work. I really think that's fascinating. So that's something to maybe dig into.
Yeah.
This is a great point. And I apologize. I'm going to have to be on a news camera here in a couple of minutes. So my choice. So
you go and take care of things.
No, well, I just my point is, Mr. Morgan, but I think we all agree this is a great idea. We don't have to, I don't believe we have to have everything solved before we send it forward, but I would really like to see if we are feeling good about this proposal, at least to send it to the full council to vote this in as kind of the details for that priority. And also just a heads up to everybody, we're presenting in front of the wildfire interim committee next week on Tuesday. And I don't have my talking points and stuff yet, but I just wanted to let you know I'm going to present. And just know, I thought maybe we should maybe take a vote just to, that you all support me doing that. So, so first, before we have Mr. Morgan, would someone mind making that motion for me to be, that you are all okay with me presenting on Tuesday, which I found out a couple of days ago in front of the Wildfire Interim Committee to present our priorities.
I'll move that we support Commissioner Shattuck McNally representing the Forest Health Council Legislative Committee in front of the Wildfire Matters Committee. Did I screw that up?
Nope, perfect.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Morgan, what would you like to add to the conversation?
Terry, I appreciate you doing all the hard work. This is a lot like going down and picking out your perfect pickup, and then you get the price tag. And we have to be realistic about price tags around here. And I think from my point of view, we have done some great work on developing assistance for junior college and college students. So if we get down to the price cutting, I'm really looking hard at the 8 to 18 portion of this to try to develop as young and as early as possible to get that interest going on. If we
Okay.
have choices, I think that's real important, number one. And number two, I can be the bad guy here. What's CSU going to do for their 24% overhead fee on a 4-H project? I'm sorry, but I've been around 4-H a long time, and I want to know, sometimes management earns their bucks. What are they going to do for 24%? I'd be happy to ask them. Maybe we could, I'm a pretty shrewd negotiator for value.
And I would encourage you to perhaps voice your question, Mr. Morgan. But and Matt and I have had this conversation, and I think he's done this more than I. So I will also welcome him to chime in. It is my understanding that about half of that goes straight to the university, and the other parts are divvied up between our office for financial and fiscal management, but then also the Office of Sponsored Programs gets 1%, and the Provost's office, or the OVPR, the Vice President of Research, gets 1%. What they do with it, I cannot speak to, but that's how it's divvied up. Matt, did you want to add anything more?
I was just going to say that, we have certainly, when we launch big projects and that NICRA rate comes into, NICRA is that acronym for the federally negotiated rate, comes into being. We've had flexibility over time, reducing that, in working with a university administration. So I would say that is not an intractable barrier, but it's certainly one that we may need some help on, Mark.
And I have had some success with that. With the Regional Opioid Abatement Council, we did a project with CSU for the opioid abatement to some preventive work, and that originally started at 40%, and we pushed back really hard on that, and we got that down to around 10 or 12. So fingers crossed we can do that again. Unfortunately, it seems like that is just consistently part of the process for these kinds of things going forward. So any other concerns, questions? Great conversation. You've all made some fantastic comments. Is everyone comfortable making a conversation or a motion for us to add this proposal and the details to that priority for starting a program? And I don't remember the exact language, but to the priority for building and reaching out to middle schools and high schools and beyond to increase workforce. Everyone okay with adding this on and making a motion to do so for our presentation to the full Forest Health Council to get approval at the end of the month of July.
I would so move.
This is for July 24th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. Motion and second. Any further discussion? And I want to thank Carrie again for fantastic work. And I think Director McCombs had stated so well. She's gone way above and beyond to put a lot of energy into something that is not, we just don't know what the future looks like. But I do agree there's some path forwards to find funding to help support this. But I think in overall, it's a fantastic idea and concept. And like you said, Director McCombs, a legacy piece, and it's certainly a very fantastic track record and history with Extension 4-H. So without further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Fantastic. So the next item on the agenda was we have the other priorities. Is there any other priorities before we present on July 24th that people would like to look at adding some more detail to, or having any more discussion on expanding those concepts? Anyone? Okay, so we have a meeting in 2 weeks, and we would probably just discuss our presentation to the full Forest Health Council. It would be a quick meeting again, I believe. Does anyone have any other items they wish? And we have to talk about what we're going to start to have on our agenda for the next few weeks for presentations. So are there any other burning items or agenda items people would like to have on that agenda? If you can't think of it right now, we can add to, you can email me and Courtney, and we will get that. We can add those and have that discussion.
Yeah, I had one more.
Sure, Mr. Morgan.
At some time, doesn't have to be right now, we have to, at some point, begin addressing some kind of liability protection to do controlled burning in the state of Colorado. We're going to use that as a huge tool to manage some of these forests. And Colorado is about the only state that does not have some sort of limited liability program for their agencies to do this. They were stripped away. And at some point, we need to start considering that or getting it before the council. So if you want me to ruin the punch bowl for today, there it is. But I think at some point we have to look at that. It's a tool we all talk about using, and right now we don't have the ability to use it.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. And I apologize, everybody, that's the press conference is starting. So I'm going to let you all decide when you'd like to end the meeting. And thank you for getting those 2 items approved. And I apologize for this. I know I have not done this before, but at least we got through the 2 items we needed to vote. And I'll let you all decide when you want to jump off and end the meeting. And I wish you all a happy 4th of July. Thanks for your patience and understanding.
Thank you. And I can jump off too, unless anybody has anything more for me. Okay, I'll let you guys chat away. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and I really hope that we get to work together in the future.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
So, hey, Mark, just real quick on the prescribe. I mean, I want to make sure everybody understands what's happening with the strategic plan that DFPC and the State Forest Service are leading in coalition with the Colorado Fire Commission and the Forest Health Advisory Council. Is everybody tracking that work? Do I need to just maybe give you a quick brief on what's going down? Okay, so DFPC working with emergency management within the Public Department of Safety was able to identify a sizable chunk of resources through FEMA to fund a statewide strategic plan. And so we have, oh gosh, what's Rocco's last name? I can't remember what is Rocco's last name? Snart. Rocco Snart from DFPC and Daniel Beveridge from the Colorado State Forest Service are co-chairing a subcommittee that is comprised of Forest Health Advisory Council members as well as Colorado Fire Commission folks. And they are in the early stages of developing the framework for how we will engage statewide the full body of stakeholders, communities, and interested parties under the governance of the Colorado Fire Commission and the Forest Health Advisory Council to look at comprehensively the challenges as well as the opportunities associated with prescribed. And it really is about, Mark, looking at those core barriers to implementation of applied fire at scale equal to the need. And so that would look at liability, smoke, capacity, as well as planning and execution. And so that process is set to kick off here later this summer. Once the RFP is out and the vendor that will facilitate that effort is hired. We have, again, a relatively good quality budget, and we are going to be taking that all across Colorado to engage with constituents and interested parties, as well as governing it through and having feedback and engagement through the two advisory bodies. So that process is in, like I said, the final stages of the planning effort. They got to get that contractor in place, and then we're going to take it on. And the intention is to have those legislative recommendations for probably not this session, but for the 26th session, to look at how do we, or policy formulation and changes that could be driven out of the governor's office, and obviously in partnership with our federal partners to figure out how we can get prescribed fire application in Colorado to the scale and intensity that's necessary to use to deploy it as the high quality and theoretically lower cost management tool, forestry tool that it is. So that's where things are headed. And the intention is to have routine engagements with the two bodies, the Fire Commission and the Forest Health Council, to keep everybody plugged in. But there will be formal engagements with these entities as well to ensure that all the feedback is provided. Everyone's given an opportunity to look at the trajectory of the strategic planning effort, and at the same time, of course, have opportunities to provide feedback. And the intention is to have a strategic plan for Colorado for prescribed fire to get us back to a point where we can, again, understand the barriers, remove them systematically, and deploy both prescribed and effective managed fire, which we've seen some great examples on the San Juan in the last few months, where that can be successful. So this is a cultural shift. I own and fundamentally understand the legacy of prescribed fire in this state. And I'm really excited that we're taking this on, and we're taking it on together across the entire kaleidoscope of vested partners. And I'm excited that this council, as well as the commission, are working together as opposed to in two different vacuums.
I really appreciate the fact that you're on top of this and that you've got a plan going. My only concern was, this being the legislative committee, whether we were going to need to suggest some legislative changes to enable you to do your work. And what you're telling us is you're on top of it. Right now, we're a year early. We're looking at that for 2026. And I think that's fantastic, because we're going to, get a gold star, 2 attaboys, and keep, because that's going to be a huge part of your work around here, and looking at it sounds great.
Indeed. Well, I appreciate that. And Chief Morgan and I at DFPC are locked and loaded on that. Executive Director Dan Gibbs at DNR, we're locked and loaded on this. Like, we are 100% aligned. Everyone's participating, and we're really excited that we're going to have this broad, inclusive, and far-reaching conversation with all actors in the space, so that we can have really clear intention around what are the barriers to our success as a state, and how do we integrate everybody that has play, from the conservation districts and counties and local communities, all the way, our volunteer fire protection districts, all the way up to our federal partners, the BLM, Park Service, and the Forest Service. So I have high hopes that we're setting the table in a very smart way, and that good, solid, if not challenging, legislative proposals will come forward, and we'll take it on together. So, was there anything else we were supposed to talk about? I feel like maybe I could be the one to suggest that we conclude, but I want to make sure that there weren't agenda items or other items that need to be engaged in before we get into the weekend. Courtney, anything from your perspective that need to be aware of? She's in another meeting. All right. So acknowledging that our chair is not with us, perhaps I would make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We are adjourned. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope you have a great holiday next week.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thanks,
We'll get you
everyone.
later.
Thank you. Goodbye.